watching The Screening Room here on WMCM-TV. And what movie are we reviewing today?
This week we are taking a look into one of the most epic trilogies of all times, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, based off of the books by J.R.R. Tolkien. I'm Molly Davies.
I'm Nick Adams.
And I'm Thomas Rehfeldt. Our first movie, of course, in the trilogy is The Fellowship of the Ring. And The Fellowship of the Ring takes place in the Shire. It's a little where the halflings, the hobbits, live. And usually all day they are spent smoking long bottom leaf and having great feasts with tons of mead and plenty of food. But one day Gandalf comes and is preparing to celebrate old Bilbo Baggins' birthday. I forgot how old he is, 118 roughly? Mm-hmm. He's extremely old. He has this grand party, and then suddenly, right in the midst of the party, he disappears. Well, he returns back to his house, and lo and behold, Frodo finds out that Bilbo wishes to go on one final adventure. So he gradually gives up the ring. It's a struggle, though. It was quite a struggle. He gives up the ring to Frodo, and Frodo's now chosen by fate on a grand quest to destroy the one ring of power in Mount Doom. And from there, they end up traveling to the little town of Bree, meet up with I forget what he's called, the Ranger of Aragorn, then the last homely house of Elrond and the elves, and from there they pass over the misty mountains through the mines of Moria, off to the forests of Lothlorien with Galadriel, and then finally down the falls of Ranos, and we end up concluding the movie with Boromir's death. But there's only so much that I can say, so let's let the trailer fill in the voids that I created.
In the lands of Middle-earth, legend tells of the Dark Lord Sauron and the ring that would give him the power to enslave the world. Lost for centuries, it has been sought by many, and has now found its way into the hands of the most unlikely person imaginable. Sauron needs only this ring to cover all the lands in darkness.
What must I do?
The ring must be destroyed.
The ring must be cast back into the fires of Mount Doom.
There is evil there that does not sleep.
Sauron's forces are already moving. They will find the ring and kill the one who carries it.
Go! Frodo! Come on, Frodo! I cannot do this alone.
You have my sword.
And you have my bow.
And my axe.
This task was appointed to you, and if you do not find a way, no one will.
The enemy has many spies. Birds, beasts.
Something draws near. I can feel it. Get off the road!
Hide! You must remember, Frodo, the ring is trying to get back to its master. It wants to be found. Let us hope that our presence may go unnoticed. They are coming.
We must stand back!
No!
I wish the ring had never come to me. Back, you devils! I wish none of this had happened.
You will find your courage.
If you want him, come and claim him.
So The Fellowship of the Rings is the first of the trilogy. It's a 1,000-page novel by J.R.R. Tolkien, and it's just an extraordinary amount of detail. How do you begin in reviewing this movie? What are your guys' opinion about this?
Well, personally, I think it's a very important piece to this trilogy. It really sets the table for the second and third movies. A lot of people find it to be dull, find it to drag on, but it's important that we set up all these parts. You know, you get all of your chess pieces on the board. You meet the Fellowship, establish the journey, and there's actually quite a bit of action in it too, just a little later in the film. So I really, really enjoy this movie.
Yeah, I agree. It sets up all of the different stories that are told throughout the other two movies. It brings together the elf, several hobbits, a wizard, and other people to come, and it really does it starts the stories that are then told separately in the other movies. I think that it's an important part to the trilogy.
At 3 hours apiece for every movie, it's hard not to get enthralled with the various characters you're introduced. And there's so many, they're so varied, that just the development progressing throughout the movie is just, I mean, that alone is just a reason to see the first movie.
Yeah.
Just to see Pippin, be a fool, and a fool of a took, as Gandalf would say, and, just how you felt when Gandalf was killed by the Balrog. What is your feeling about that?
I thought it was dramatic. You do get very attached to these characters. All of the characters are very interesting. All of them have very unique roles, and I think they all come together just perfectly in this film.
Yeah, I thought ending it with Gandalf being killed by the Balrog really brought a dramatic end to the movie that made you want to see the next one. I thought that they ended it perfectly because people were like, what just happened in this movie? I have no idea. I need to see the second one, or I need to start reading the books.
I love the scale of the movie too. They really use New Zealand, which is such a beautiful country, to its fullest. And the parts that aren't natural in New Zealand that they have made themselves are just incredible, considering how long ago this movie has been made. The Forest of Lothlorien, they kept a number of the trees in there, but all of the larger trees with the staircases winding up them, they were all actually made out of rubber, which I thought was just amazing. A number of the sets of the cities, like Rivendell, from further away, they were all styrofoam miniatures, all scaled down, which is just incredible.
Yeah, everything in the movie had such great detail that it was almost insane to think that it did happen so long ago, and most of it was not real. That I loved all of the indoor scenes with the fighting, and especially when Gandalf is fighting the Balrog on the bridge, and I just think that it's incredible that stuff wasn't really real and that it was made so long ago. But I would defend that it's probably one of the better made movies in that genre, even to ones that have been made recently.
We have to give credit to Jackson for just the amount of detail, as you said, in the Uruk-hai and the goblins. We forgot how special that made the movie. I know I was watching The Hobbits, the two Hobbits that came out. I was a little disappointed in how it was almost just kind of cut and pasted. It was just computer graphic of images. And really the mask and the feeling, that helps evoke that emotion that made the movie so enjoyable to watch.
All right, though, that's all the time we have for the first for the first Lord of the Rings movie. We'll be right back with the second after this Perfect Pets.
Make a toast with 9-week-old Chardonnay. Watch out though, even though this kitten's classy, she's a tad bit sassy. Meet Finley, a fine pit bull mix of 10 months, who loves his chew toys and is always on the run. Lose your marbles? Well, meet Marble. This cat of 10 months will bring back your senses in no time. Meet Davy, an ecstatic Chihuahua mix of only 3 years. He loves to play, and he'll keep you going all day long.
To find out more about adoption for these pets or others, contact the Cooley Region Humane Society at 781-4014.
Welcome back. Again, the number for the Cooley Region Humane Society is 608-781-4014. And before the break, we discussed the first of the 3 Lord of the Rings movies, and now we will make our way on to the second, which is The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. This film begins with a flashback to the first film, with the battle between Gandalf and the Balrog on the bridge of Khazad-dûm. But this time it is from Gandalf's perspective and shows them fighting down below, mid-air, free-falling, continuing this fight. And with that, the fellowship has been broken. At the end of the first movie, Boromir died. And now at the start of this one, Frodo and Samwise have gone off alone to Mordor to destroy the ring. Merry and Pippin have been captured by the Uruk-hai. Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli have made friends with the Rehfeldt, who are a race of humans who are in the path of the upcoming war. And the 2 towers between Mordor and Isengard have united in their lust for destruction. The corrupt wizard Saruman, under the power of the Dark Lord Sauron, have created a Uruk-hai army bent on destruction for man in Middle-earth. Oddly enough, it is Earth Day today. The rebellion against Sauron is building up and will be led by Gandalf, Gandalf the White, who has made his return in this movie. We thought he had died at the end of the first one. Joke's on us, he is back. One of the ring's original bearers, the creature Gollum, has tracked down Sam and Frodo, but they have turned him to use him as a way to lead them to Mount Doom. The war on the ring has begun, so let's check out the trailer for The Two Towers.
The fate of the world will soon be decided. The dominion of evil grows even stronger. There is a union now between the 2 towers, Barad-dûr, fortress of the Dark Lord Sauron, and Orthanc, stronghold of the wizard Saruman. The peril of the ring-bearer deepens. An unseen danger draws closer, for there is another who hunts the ring.
The thieves! They stole my precious, and we want it!
Now, the second movie is probably the darkest of the 3 movies in the trilogy, but it also contains a few of my favorite moments, such as the fight at Rohan and the return of Gandalf the White. What did you guys think of the second movie?
I love it. The battle at Helm's Deep is our first taste of the epic scale that this movie's battles can contain. A little foreshadowing for the third movie. But just, it wows me that the effort that went into the production. They actually went to a cricket stadium in Australia and had all of the fans in the cricket stadium chant and stomp their feet so they could capture the noises for the Uruk-hai army. And what a workshop, which produces all of the armor and prosthetics for all of the armies, actually made 1,000 Uruk-hai costumes. So anything more than that we see in the film is actually computer generated. And again, for as long ago as this movie was, that's just incredible technology. That's incredible production.
I also enjoy the Battle of Helm's Deep. Interesting fact, it was actually dug out by humans, not dwarves, which is just a little nerdy piece of information. I'm also a big fan of the Ents, and since we're celebrating Earth Day, I thought it'd be pleasant to bring that up, that the Ents have been around since all time on Middle-earth, and they've been tending to these trees. And finally, when Saruman of many colors comes in with his industrialization, he starts destroying the forests. And finally, they act. And I tell you what, that's my favorite part of the movie, is when they finally take on Isengard.
Yeah, you do not want to mess with the Ents. Some pretty tough trees, if you ask me.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys played these games as children on like the PlayStation. Did either of you?
The Lord of the Rings games?
Yes, I would argue that the Two Towers definitely was the best of the three games. I thought that the fight scenes were definitely the most fun. During the fight scenes, you'd have to try and push the ladders off of the sidings of the castles, and it was definitely my favorite game to play.
Staying true to the film, of course.
Always. It was very cool. And also the trailer didn't show this, but in this movie, Legolas has one of his most epic scenes where he like rides on a piece of wood down the staircase while shooting people with his bow and arrow. And I think the trailer left it out, but I think it's probably one of Legolas's greatest scenes in the trilogy.
It's an interesting fact. Legolas did invent skateboarding, although people do not usually give him credit for it. So, something in history that just falls through the cracks, unfortunately.
So I think this movie also brings up the deterioration that Frodo had mentally and physically. It's where you definitely see it to start to escalate, and you see that when he and Samwise and Gollum are trekking their way across the valley, and he approaches the like lake-type pond marsh that he ends up falling into, or like going into, because he's being told to by the powers of the ring or whatever, and that's when you really start to see that it is deteriorating on him mentally and physically to have the ring in his possession.
Yeah, it's just a really impressive showing of the character progression from the first movie where he's very strong to when he starts falling apart later on.
We're going to cut now into a UWL promo right here on WMCM.
At the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse, surround yourself with potential. Surround yourself with lifelong friends. Step on campus and be welcomed with a friendly smile. It's just like home. Surround yourself with nature's beauty. Nestled in western Wisconsin's driftless area, it's perfect for learning. Hike the bluffs, bike the marsh, soar. Surround yourself with challenging academics. Our motto is Men's Corpus Gay, Latin for mind and body. Experience a whole education. Conduct research. Surround yourself with distinction. Surround yourself with UW-La Crosse.
And welcome back to the screening room here on WMCM. Before the break, we talked about the first two movies of this epic saga, The Lord of the Rings, and now we will talk about the third, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. This is the epic climax that this dramatic crescendo of a saga has been leading up to. Sam and Frodo continue their journey onto Mordor, led by Gollum, while tensions between Gollum and Sam begin to rise. Sam does not trust Gollum. Aragorn returns to Gondor with the Rohan army. The rest of the fellowship sort of comes back together, whereas in the first movie they were breaking apart and started following separate paths. They once again return together in at the gates of Mordor, where they are battling to give Sam and Frodo a little more time to try and destroy the ring. Aragorn, as the title may give away, returns to his rightful place as the King of Gondor. This is by far the most action-packed. There are large-scale battles. There's a giant spider for your arachnophobes out there. Before I give a little too much away, let's take a look at the trailer for Return of the King.
The eye of the enemy is moving.
The end has come. Every day Frodo moves closer to Mordor. How do we know Frodo is alive? What does your heart tell you?
Come, Master. Come to Smeagol.
This is your test. Every path you have trod through wilderness, through war, has led to this road.
The enemy will never let Aragorn come to the throne of Gondor.
It is time. Give him the sword of the king.
Become who you were born to be.
The precious will be
sending him away. Come, Smeagol.
Order set. The pieces are moving.
He is here.
We come to it at last.
I see in your eyes the same fear that would take the heart of me. A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship, but it is not this day.
Whatever happens, stay with me.
This day, we fight!
All you have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to you.
We shall see the Shire again.
You gave away your life's grace. I cannot protect you anymore.
We cannot achieve victory through strength of arms.
Not for ourselves, but we can give Frodo a chance.
And with this epic installment, Peter Jackson answers the age-old question of how much action can we pack in a movie with the answer, it doesn't matter, we'll make as long a movie as we feel like to pack in all the action that it holds. As you may have heard, Aragorn, his speech delivery abilities rivaled only by Denzel Washington, just epic in every sense of the word. How do you feel about this video?
Yeah, I would argue that the most epic part of this movie is not so much the destruction of the ring, but is Aragorn taking his place in the throne and giving his speech. I think that was probably one of the best parts of the trilogy. I felt like a lot of things came together in that moment, especially for Aragorn.
My favorite part in the special edition is the mouth of Saruman. The lieutenant, when he comes out there, that's the most frightening image in the entire movie. And then when Aragorn just comes around and just beheads him, just like that, it was just so powerful. I love that scene right there at the Black Gates.
You know, they actually computer generated his mouth to be larger than it normally would. The mask covers his entire face except for his mouth, and they used computer animation to make it larger so it did look more fearsome. And the city where the battle takes place, one of these styrofoam molds that they had actually built, ended up blowing away in heavy winds one day. So delayed production a little bit, but the movie still turned out great.
Yeah, I would say all of the pieces really came together at the end of the movie. This isn't the type of trilogy that at the end you're like, well, what just happened? I'm not sure what's going on. It seemed that they really were able to tie all the loose ends and finish the movie strong, and I feel like it was a very good ending to the trilogy, and I don't think that they could have done a much better job on it.
Mm-hmm. And I'd just like to highlight for a second the development of the character of Samwise Gamgee, Frodo's gardener, who's actually only seen gardening once in the entire trilogy. But throughout the trilogy, he is there at Frodo's side. In the third movie, Frodo is actually captured by orcs in Mordor, which could mean curtain call for the Fellowship. But Sam pulls through again. He collects the ring from Frodo before he's taken. He saves Frodo, and he helps Frodo climb Mount Doom and destroy the ring once and for all.
Let's not forget who the real hero is in the movie. It's Gollum. Because at the end we see Frodo is so corrupted by the ring, he can't bear himself to leave it. And so Gollum comes on, just bites off the finger for him, and falls into Mount Doom.
Does all the dirty work for him.
He does.
Yes, it could be credited to him that the ring was destroyed, I suppose. Yeah, we haven't talked too much about Gollum. He is definitely the creepiest person in the movie, or not even a person, is an ex-hobbit creature, whatever he may be. Definitely scary, multiple personalities, either Smeagol or Gollum, but I was not sad to see his end in the movie. He was scary.
I'm also, I've just got to say, Minas Tirith. I love the way the city is depicted and how the battle takes place, and the white tree. The culture of the movies are just so riveting. What do you feel about that?
I think it's amazing. I think they used the beautiful landscapes of New Zealand to its fullest. They did an amazing job with all of the detailing of their work in order to really bring this to life. I agree. I think it's fantastic.
Well, let's not forget about The Hobbit, since we're talking about The Lord of the Rings. What do you guys think about the first two movies of The Hobbit?
Personally, I think The Hobbit, as far as the books go, was a little further off than The Lord of the Rings was from what the books were. But I think they've done a very good job casting for it. They've done a good job putting together a compelling tale. And I find it to be quite a good movie, both of them so far, because there have been two Hobbits that have come out.
Well, we see The Lord of the Rings is a 1,000-page novel. We have 3 movies. We have a 300-page novel, and we're trying to do the same thing. And we add in this entirely different plot line with this pale orc who comes out of nowhere. So I was really confused when I saw the movies. I was not a fan, personally.
Yeah, I was not. Definitely wasn't based completely off of the book, but I did hear that Gimli from The Lord of the Rings, the same actor played Gimli's grandfather in the Hobbit movies.
John Rhys Davies.
Yes. So I thought that was very cool. I was like, he looks just like Gimli, but old. My dad was like, that is him.
John Rhys Davies is an incredible actor. He's actually the tallest member of the Fellowship from Lord of the Rings at 6'1", and they cast him as a dwarf, which I find interesting. And in the second movie, he voiced Treebeard, the Ent. They had him speak through this large wooden tube with all these notches cut into it and protrusions so that it distorted his voice to sound like a tree, which ended up working out perfectly.
How do you determine what sounds like a tree? Is my only
that's
question
a fantastic
for them.
question. I'm not in the forest enough to hear
No,
it.
I definitely am not. We're going to shoot it over to another viewing of The Perfect Pets.
Make a toast with 9-week-old Chardonnay. Watch out though, even though this kitten's classy, she's a tad bit sassy. Meet Finley, a fine pit bull mix of 10 months, who loves his chew toys and is always on the run. Lose your marbles? Well, meet Marble. This cat of 10 months will bring back your senses in no time. Meet Davy, an ecstatic Chihuahua mix of only 3 years. He loves to play, and he'll keep you going all day long.
To find out more about adoption for these pets or others, contact the Cooley Region Humane Society at 781-4014.
And welcome back. The number once again is 781-4014. Let's go to new in theaters. Molly, what do we have?
They have Heaven is for Real, which is based off of a book, Draft Day, Noah, The Second Rio, Transcendence, and Bears.
And new on DVD, The Nut Job, The Invisible Woman, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, a fantastic Ben Stiller movie, and Ride Along with Kevin Hart and Ice Cube.
And at the Rivioli, we have Frozen, The Muppets, Most Wanted, Need for Speed, and Non-Stop. Thank you once again for watching the screening room here on WMCM.
And don't forget to tune in this Thursday for this week's A Week in Review. Have a great week, everyone.